Good morning, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on Microsoft's new commerce experience. Bandas is a Microsoft Gold partner in cloud platform and productivity with advanced specializations in networking and Azure Virtual Desktop. We are pleased to speak with you today about the changes to Microsoft's licensing program and introduce you to Microsoft New Commerce Experience. Today's webinar will be presented by Tom Ricardo, Head of Cloud Strategy and Solutions, and Max Sly, Chief Operating Officer at Vandis. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat window, and we will either address them as we go or at the end of the session. And lastly, just a quick reminder to visit our website, vandis.com/events, for a list of other upcoming events that you might be interested in. I would like to provide a quick introduction for those of you who may be new to Vandis. Vandis provides managed services and IT solutions to optimize the security and performance of network infrastructures, both on-premise and in the cloud. We design IT solutions to meet each organization's unique needs and goals. For over 38 years, from mid-market to enterprise clients, Vandis has delivered comprehensive strategies for secure IT infrastructures. And now I'd like to turn it over to Tom Ricardo to begin today's presentation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Ricardo. I'm the Head of Cloud Strategy and Solutions here at Vandis. I'm going to be presenting today with Max Sly, our COO. What we're talking about today is Microsoft's new commerce experience. So the question you might be asking is, what is the new commerce experience, or NCE? Well, Microsoft moving on this year, has decided to move into a new licensing phase. This will be the first time that they've increased prices in over 10 years. What will this impact? Well, it's going to impact every existing as well as any new subscription or any new license order that you're going to be putting. This now, it's very clear, this is on the Microsoft 365 and Dynamics 365 side of Microsoft. It doesn't affect Azure. That said, we're going to be focusing on the Microsoft 365 changes today. Also, while this is not going to affect users with an EA, they redefined what an EA or enterprise agreement qualifications are. So what they're really looking to do is go and redefine who works with partners. Now, why is Microsoft doing this? Well, very simply, Microsoft's looking to offload a lot of the work that they're seeing to partners who they've seen success growing in accounts, whether that be within the Microsoft 365 or Azure region. So the idea is to take that and partner you with partners that will lead to better success within your digital transformation. So let's go and take a look about what this key change really is going to look like. So where this comes into play for a lot of people is you used to only be able to get annual terms for this through the CSP program, which was a cloud solution provider. It was a partner program. With NCE, what they're looking to do is there's going to be two different ways to order. There's still going to be the monthly where there's a monthly commitment, but there's also now going to be a per year or per multi-year option to purchase. And you might ask, why would I want per multi-year? While Microsoft hasn't changed their prices in 10 years, they're starting to now. So whatever price you're going to get, that they're looking to start moving into a model that adjusts per year. So in order to lock in friendly terms, you might say, hey, I know I'm going to have this many seats for this year. I'm going to lock these in. What does this mean for you? Well, it's going to mean that while purchasing, you're going to have to take a look at where you're going to go in terms of your growth or your company size and figure out a model that works for you. No longer are you going to be able to add and reduce seats on demand as they did before and be charged per the day. Let's look at some of the other changes. You can see the main thing here is the cancellation terms. If you look right here, when you do a cancellation, you can cancel it 72 hours. That you have a window of 72 hours from the order. It's prorated per day, but after that point, you can't cancel, whether it's monthly or a yearly contract. Used to be that you could cancel at any time with a penalty, and they would just charge you prorated for the day. Most of the other things are the same. Make sure to notice that auto renew is on default and you have to turn it off manually. As we go through and look through more, one of the things with Microsoft though is while they won't let you change the terms or decrease what you spend, you're still going to be able to Skew upgrade, just like you would for an Azure product or any other product. You can Skew update in the middle of a term, and they have no problem with that. And you can take on the terms. So, you know, if you have a yearly contract, you can midterm upgrade from like an E3 to an E5 if you wanted to, and that wouldn't cause anything. And then that would go and move into the midterm contract prorated per day. Once again, decreased seats, only going to be able to do that at renewals. So how does this impact you? So Microsoft is taking the pricing and it's increasing it 10 to 25% depending on the SKU. There's not a set rhyme or reason. You'll have to go and kind of contact us, and we can go through which SKUs you have, what the price increase is going to be. That said, for the first time ever, they're going to price separate monthly contracts and yearly contracts. It used to be they were at the same rate. A yearly subscription is going to be 20% less than a monthly subscription. But not every SKU is going to be available on a monthly option. There's some SKUs that are only yearly. Your standard SKUs like your E3 and E5 aren't a monthly. So it depends on what you're using, but for the most part, that's less intrusive than it would be. For the most part, your main licensing sources will be monthly or yearly. What happens to your existing licenses? Well, right now, if you have terms, they're going to keep going. Your terms are going to go to either the end of your contract or June or July 1st, whatever one's first. Basically, before June, if it cancels out, you're going to be able to go and purchase the NCE licenses. You can renew what you're using today through June. So you have a limited time window between now and June to kind of settle out and make your decisions and understand the budgetary. After that point, on July 1st, you're only going to be able to purchase the NCE. That is it. There'll be no grandfather deals past that. Also, if you have an EA, you can renew your EA before June. But if you are one of the companies that are shifting back into the NCE experience, from that time, they're not going to be renewing EAs after that, and they're going to move you towards an NCE partner or partners to help you work through that. After that, at that point, everything that if you are not EA eligible, you either have NCE or you can buy direct from Microsoft at a higher rate. The only way to discount would be to work through a partner. That said, while you're looking at all this, remember what we're going to try to do is help you out in terms of not only giving you a discount from list from our ability to do that, as well as from what Microsoft extends us, but we're also going to be working in creating a pricing model for you that works within a monthly and yearly basis based on your business and your needs. To talk a little bit about transitioning, I'm going to hand it over to Max Sly.
Thanks, Tom. So my name is Max Sly. I'm the COO at Vandis. And as Tom mentioned, this is a change that's impacting every single Azure subscriber today, or at least from the M365 or Productivity Suite side. Internally, we are an Azure M365 user, so this is impacting us. So I've been involved in talking about this internally. So I want to talk a little bit about sort of how we're approaching it and how we're also approaching this with our clients that we're working through with the same exact questions and challenges as they move to NCE. So let me take control. Okay, so Tom was just talking about the renewal window. So that renewal window for your legacy subscriptions is going to expire in the end of June. For all net new subscriptions, you're going to have to go through NCE starting a bit earlier, starting on March 10th. Now, if you have an existing legacy subscription and you're adding a new subscription, that will be subject to this March 10th date. So you may have both legacy and net new subscriptions at the same time. Slightly earlier than this March 10th date for net new, Microsoft is going to be rolling out the price increases that we've been talking about, and that goes into effect on March 1st. To incentivize clients to move towards the NCE program, Microsoft has rolled out 2 different promotions. And one of them is for the annual subscription type, and the other is for month-to-month subscription type. The annual subscription promotion runs to the end of March. And here, Microsoft's offering a 5% discount off of list price. And effectively, what that's doing is if you look at your legacy SKUs, you compare them up against this discount, you actually are going to save some money moving into this plan. It depends on license SKUs and what's available, but likely you're looking at a price advantage here. On the month-to-month promotion offering, what Microsoft's doing is they're extending a 16.7% discount off of list. Effectively, what that's doing is leveling out the NCE month-to-month subscription to match the pricing of the annual legacy subscription. Both of these are capped at 2,400 users. That annual promotion only goes to the end of March. The month-to-month promotion only goes to the end of June. So that's not a ton of time to figure out what you want to do with either of these. So it's important to start discussing internally to take advantage of these discounts because they are pretty meaningful discounts. You may have renewals within the through June window to renew that you want to shift over to NCE because you can lock in some of these discounts. So it's definitely something to consider as you look at your various options, especially if you're an existing subscriber. We've spoken about a lot of different dates here, and so just to put it on a timeline to make this a little bit easier to understand, all of these NCE SKUs and the promotion that we just discussed went live last week on January 10th. The price increase that we've discussed is going into effect on March 1st, and starting March 10th is when things start shifting over to being NCE only. So the first piece of that, March 10th, that's when new transactions have to go through NCE. And starting July 1st, so through the end of June, all transactions, renewals and net new, have to go through NCE. A few other things to call out here. There are, on the bottom right of the slide, you'll see that there are new features that say later in 2022. So Microsoft's still rolling out elements of this shift. Some components of those include some multi-year options aren't available for all products yet. So stay tuned on that. There's a lot of this that Microsoft hasn't had firm dates set for. If you have specific questions about feature sets or options coming up for certain SKUs, let us know and we can help track that down for you or let you know once more information is available. The other thing to keep an eye out for is, and you see it here on annual promotion, we have a block that says possible extension. Now, Microsoft hasn't committed to there being an extension yet, but this is a big change for a lot of their clients. And for many programs like this, Microsoft has extended promotions in the past. So it is definitely a possibility that we see those extended. If that happens, we'll be sure to let you know. But for right now, I would definitely recommend treating the end dates as the promotion, especially as the true end date for planning purposes, because it's not guaranteed by any means that Microsoft will extend this. So what do you need to do to figure out what licenses or quantity of licenses you need as you move into NCE license types? Well, the biggest adjustment, which Tom touched on before, is you now you have less flexibility in your subscription types. So you now can only reduce the number of users at your renewal date. So that forces you into a thought process of, okay, what is my floor of user count that I feel comfortable committing to a subscription link for? So what we think most clients will do is look at this and say, okay, what is my base level of employees that I know for the next year we are going to always have that user count that we need subscriptions for. Put them into the annual subscription type at that 20% cost reduction and have that be set in place. And then keep the rest of the user count, which is more variable, and put those on the more expensive month-to-month options. That buys you some flexibility because at the end of every month, you can now reduce user count. And instead of with the annual offer, you would have to wait until the end of the year to make that change. However, some clients may look at this and say, you know what, I'd rather pay the premium for full monthly licenses to have complete flexibility over my user count on a month-to-month basis. That may be worth the premium for certain organizations. So elements to consider here, I mean, the obvious one is like seasonality of business. A lot of organizations will have huge increases in user counts for set periods of time. So that's something to consider, but really this gets into the heart of like, what is your business model? What are your growth plans? What are your, what's your stable user count that you want to maintain? And how do you want to figure out cost optimization and weigh that against flexibility for your company? And that's really the biggest change here versus legacy in terms of thinking through license types. The other thing that I would add is that if you are considering annual licenses, that doesn't necessarily mean you're locked into paying upfront. Some of the annual licenses do have both upfront payment options. They also have month-to-month payment options. So if you would prefer having a monthly subscription type, but still be committed to that year and get the cost reduction of being committed to the year, let us know. We can check if the SKUs that you're looking at having be annual have those payment options. Lastly, Tom mentioned this before, but you may want to lock in pricing for multiple years. Right now, the multi-year contracts are capped at 3 years. This would prevent you from being affected by future Microsoft price increases through the end of that term. So since Microsoft they haven't said for sure they're increasing pricing every year, but this is sort of signaling that it's more likely that they will be increasing pricing at least more consistently than they have in the past. It's been, like Tom said, it's been 10 years. So that is definitely something to consider if you want to have future costs in place, but it does mean you have to commit to that subscription count for the entire 3 years. So definitely something to consider as you work through your options. Now, how can Vandis help you work through this? So everything I just spoke about, determining which licenses are right for you and how to best structure between annual, multi-year, monthly options, we're happy to sit down with you and work through those different options, understand your business needs, understand sort of your hiring needs over the coming year or couple of years, and figure out and at least or make a recommendation on what's going to be optimal for your business. The other thing is that with the shift to NCE, it's a really good time to reassess what licenses you are currently using and what your company needs are. Even before NCE was rolled out, one of the things that we found as we spoke through license types is that since the Microsoft licenses are often very confusing, there's just a lot of different options out there. There are many circumstances where clients may be paying for a lot of individual licenses where they should be looking at bundling them. Maybe they could upgrade a SKU and get broader access to other solutions for not that much more money than they're currently paying. So we can definitely talk through different options with you, understand what you're actually using today, make sure that you are leveraging the license that you have in place, and see maybe there are other options that are going to be better for your future needs. Also, in addition to the promotion pricing that is available today, we, because of our gold status and our relationship with Microsoft, we can often provide discounts in addition to that promotion off of list price for you. So this is regardless of if you're currently working directly with Microsoft, you're working with another Microsoft partner, we may be able to help reduce your costs and reduce costs that would help offset some of the price increases that Microsoft is putting out there. Maybe not fully, but we can help you help that increase be less meaningful to your organization. Lastly, we have a really deep experience integrating all of these Microsoft ecosystem products. Many of these conversations, although we're just talking about subscriptions and licensing today, there's a broader conversation here about your end user experience, right? And making sure that you're maximizing your team's productivity as you're leveraging M365 or your Azure environment in general. And we're very experienced in both the networking, security, as well as the cross-integration component between the various Microsoft ecosystem products, such as M365, Intune, Active Directory. We're also seeing a lot of interest recently in Azure Virtual Desktop. We actually have a webinar coming up about that in a couple of weeks. So if you have broader ecosystem questions, we can definitely talk to you about that. Make sure that not only do you have the right license types, but that your users are having the best possible experience as they leverage those subscriptions. We know that this is a meaningful change to every Microsoft subscriber. And we also understand that your situation, that elements of your situation are going to be unique to your company, especially as you think through which license types are right for you and which subscription options are right for you. So we are happy to set up a meeting where we can dive a bit deeper into your specific use case, make specific recommendations. So if you'd like to speak to one of our specialists on this topic, feel free to reach out to your account manager, or you can reach out to this alias that we have right here, cloud@vandis.com, and we can set up that conversation as soon as possible so that if you do want to take advantage of those promotions that are ongoing, you have enough time to do so. With that said, if you have questions that you'd like to address for this meeting, feel free to put them into chat, and either Tom or I will address them right now. So I'll open it up to any questions.
Hi, Max. I don't think we're going to have any questions, but we did have one or two people that joined late. So if you wouldn't mind, could you just summarize 2 or 3 key points of the new commerce experience for those individuals who joined late? Just 2 or 3 takeaways. And it looks like one question came in, but if you wouldn't mind just giving the 2 or 3 takeaways from this webinar.
Sure, I would say, go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead. What I was going to say, yes, but so Jacobson, we now the promos that you saw, the 5% and 16%, do not take an effect. So the question is, does Vandis offer not-for-profit discounting like Texas? And the answer is, we can handle non-for-profit licensing within the A1 and educational SKUs. That said, it's obviously less than the commercial SKUs. Also, those promos that you saw earlier do not count for the nonprofit. But if you're looking for a discussion on terms of how we can help you if you're in a nonprofit or educational, please feel free to reach out to us. Yes, we can. We can go and take a look at what we can do for you on that side as well. Go ahead, Max. Sorry, I just wanted to answer the question.
No problem. Just I guess if I really had to boil this down to a few key points, all subscriptions are going to be moving from legacy subscription types into this new NCE program that Microsoft is rolling out. It will affect every single M365 subscription. So, and there are narrow windows for promotions. So promotions through the end of March and through the end of June that will help offset a price increase that they're doing at the same time. So if you're interested in sort of getting ahead of the change, getting ahead of the requirements, you definitely want to be looking at this now and seeing how you can optimize your licenses and as you also adjust to the new NCE structure. So that very quick bullets, that's how I would highlight it.
Thank you. That's perfect. Are there any other questions?
Joanne, one thing I do want to mention is if you are a current Vandis customer, your account manager will be reaching out to you and we'll be setting some time to go over. So if you're one of our customers now, I see one in the chat, we're going to sit down and kind of go through, and we're already working through what would be best for your situation. We can discuss that with you. And if you're a new customer, feel free once again to either email cloud@vandis.com or reach out to your account manager to set up a meeting.
All right, perfect. Thank you both, Tom and Max, for the information today. We do hope for those of you who joined today that you did find the information helpful to understand the changes to Microsoft's licensing program. You can visit our YouTube channel for the recording and also visit our website, vandis.com/events, for other events that may be of interest to you. For instance, Max did mention that upcoming on February 8th, we will be having a webinar on Azure Virtual Desktop. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to our email, cloud@vandis.com. Thank you again for joining us today and have a wonderful rest of your day.